It's week 12 of the fantasy football season. There's a mini buy-mageddon this week, and we'll tell you who to go grab off the waiver wire, plus recap this whole weekend that just happened. Producer, hit the button. Welcome to another edition of the Fantasy Forecast with Grindberg and bigz. I am bigz. He is Grindberg. This is the Week 12 weekend recap and waiver wire show, where we give you your weekly breakdown of all things fantasy, of a lot of things fantasy football. In this Week 12 edition, we kick things off with top headlines from Week 11, followed by a deep dive into the best waiver wire pickups at quarterback, tight end, wide receiver, and running back to help you get ahead before your league mates do. I am sick, but I am committed, and I owe it to the viewers to be here.
You do, and your Raiders are playing Monday Night Football. I mean, last night or the day before, however, whenever you're taking in this
night
thing.
Tonight.
Yeah, and it's a good day for you, other than being sick, I guess. Let's get into this, bigz. We got a bunch of headlines here to go over, and Week 11 was no shy of being headline worthy. And we'll start with our big one, and we'll start with Thursday night because it happened. It almost seems like a week ago now, but the rookie who broke out and broke the reins, and I'm talking about TreVeyon Henderson. He's forcing the Patriots for a big power shift. He didn't just show up on Thursday night, bigz. He commanded the stage in a wet, frigid primetime sloth against the Jets. And the running back, 3-touchdown masterclass. He sliced through the defenders. Didn't have a whole lot of rushing yards, but added some upside here with the passing game too. So, 5 touchdowns, 243 yards in his past 2 games. I know with Ramondre not in the lineup, that's obviously aided that. But bigz, on Thursday night on the Pulse, you called TreVeyon Henderson a league winner down the stretch. And after what he did to the Jets, it's hard to argue that. But let me ask you this, man. With Ramondre Stevenson coming back, he's expected back soon. Is there any real concern that his return could cut into Henderson's momentum, at least limit that league winning upside you talked about?
Absolutely not. Let's look at it in terms of the Detroit Lions and David Montgomery, Jahmyr Gibbs, right? Make those parallel comparisons. And while David Montgomery, like I've said, takes something away from Jahmyr Gibbs, meaning Jahmyr Gibbs, when David Montgomery is healthy, is running back 5. When David Montgomery is not healthy, he's running back 1. Similar to that, TreVeyon Henderson is in that conversation when Ramondre is on the field. It's still running back 5.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah,
so
exactly.
He's still going to give you league winning performances down the stretch. And I'm not concerned about Ramondre being healthy whatsoever.
But you think he's completely taken over the lead role now? You don't think Ramondre is going to outsnap him? Or do you think it's going to be game scripted, depending on if they need a bruiser up the middle to finish these games off? Because they are the number 1 seed right now.
No, I think Mike Vrabel and Josh McDaniel are smart enough to understand the weapon that they have in TreVeyon Henderson and to design their play calling around that.
Gotcha. All right.
Ramondre is not that guy, and they know that.
Yeah, and I think that it was just a matter of, and it was weird because after all the fumbling happened in the beginning of the year, you think they would have, shortened the string a little bit here on Ramondre, but they kept giving him the rock. So maybe that leash is still going to be there for TreVeyon now that he's going to have the reins.
And we talk about it every year. There are little things that you can't analyze. There are little things that aren't in the spreadsheets. There are little things that are in the coaches' heads that we can't know. And it could be that they were waiting on TreVeyon to pick up some of the plays. And it wasn't until halfway into the season that in practice he started showing that he didn't need help anymore, that he had him down. It could have been that They needed him to show a little bit more in pass protection, those kinds of things. And, we talk about it every year. Breakout rookies in the second half win your fantasy leagues. So hope you loaded up on TreVeyon Henderson when we were telling you to do so.
Yeah. And another story here that I had high hopes here for JJ McCarthy, but it just looking like this isn't going to happen this year. Maybe, I'm not sure. We'll have to get a little bit more into this as the show goes on here, Biggs. But is he holding hostage Justin Jefferson? I mean, this was supposed to be the year for them. I didn't expect this big of a hurdle, and especially for McCarthy reading the defenses. It just seems that his footwork and his processing just isn't there. Kevin O'Connell made it clear that McCarthy sees the field well, but and understands the other and the offense, but he's got some frantic footwork, and things aren't just clicking like they should be. The inconsistency comes even more glaring when you realize what's at stake. Minnesota doesn't need McCarthy to operate the offense. We've seen what they've done. Is it time to bench him again? I don't know what's the case here, but on the pulse, we were talking about Justin Jefferson being a sneaky buy low target in Dynasty because of the long-term talent and the role. They are on question, but in redraft, it's a completely different game. JJ McCarthy, I mentioned his footwork being off, his timing being off, and the offense has been sputtering because of the layups and the big time throws just aren't connecting. Do you still hold trust in the talent above these growing pains, or what do you do right now in redraft leagues, Biggs? Are we trying to just hold tight? I mean, right now the trade deadline's around the corner here, and what do we do with Justin Jefferson?
I'm in the same position that I was when we talked about it on the Dynasty Pulse with Justin Jefferson. I'm not worried at all. He's a generational guy, and his schedule in the fantasy playoffs, week 14 he has Washington, week 15 he has Baltimore, week 16 he has the New York Giants, and then week 17 he has the Detroit Lions. So those are non-formidable defenses that JJ McCarthy so the things that were said about JJ McCarthy and his shortcomings are things that are fixable. It could be that his muscle memory is just a little bit out of whack from being injured. It could mean that he just needs to take some more practice reps. Not everybody kind of gets it right away, and he's missed some time this year. So you give him a cake schedule for a 5-week stretch and give him practice reps and time to work on mechanics. And I'm fully confident that JJ McCarthy and Justin Jefferson, the two JJs, are going to be a thing in the fantasy playoffs.
Yeah. Okay. I really hope so. And I think you're right on with this, but it's looking pretty glim there in Minnesota when you think of
so take advantage of it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Take advantage of it.
Yeah. There you go. There's opportunity here.
Try and acquire Justin Jefferson.
Yeah, especially over the next 2 weeks where, some trade deadlines and redraft leagues are this week or the week after. So get on it now and see what you can do because people are looking to move on, I think. And you could get a value here and a league winner down the stretch. So let's move on, Biggs. Speaking about league winner, Josh Allen, he goes buck wild over the Bucs, 6 touchdowns, 0 mercy, and the Bills blasting off.
On your own?
What's that?
Did you come up with that one on your own? Him going buck wild?
Yeah, it just came to me. It was awesome. It was
very clever, Michael.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, it wasn't even AI generated. It came off of my own head. I just even got Dev to put the thumbnail in and everything. I thought I was pretty clever and probably not going to be the only fantasy network out there that's probably going to have it on there. So hopefully our show gets posted before somebody else does. But with that said, what a game by Josh Allen. It's one for the ages. That was one of the biggest fantasy performances in the last 5 years, period. He didn't just beat the Buccaneers. He went absolutely buck wild in one of the most unhinged fantasy performance of the entire season. 3 rushing touchdowns, 3 passing touchdowns, 317 yards passing, and had some groundwork as well. This wasn't just a exceptional performance. We look at what he's done this year with the talent he has around him. We know that James Cook is great, but his supporting cast hasn't been there. They even made Keon Coleman a healthy scratch. He could have been the guy that's been holding this Bills offense back this whole time because we look at what Shavers did. Looked great, and things look good for Josh Allen moving forward. And, I think this could be the version of him because when you look at the Bills right now, they're in a wild card spot, and they're going to need to win some games down the stretch just to hold on to that when some of these other teams are coming on. So I don't think they're going to be outside of the playoff push, but they need him and they need his veteran presence. And what can we expect the rest of the way, bigz? League winning, matchup proof monster, or should fantasy managers be bracing for a week to week volatility that he's kind of shown so far this season?
Well, there is a reason that he has finished as quarterback one overall. Let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4 times, and quarterback 2 3 times that he wasn't quarterback 1. This is the kind of performance that we can expect Josh Allen to put together. And you talk about volatility, but he only has one game. Well, he put up 11.82 against the Jets and 15.4 against Atlanta. Other than those two performances, everything has been 19 points or better. So, I mean, what are we talking about here? It's freaking Josh Allen. This is what he does. You're gonna expect 20 plus points from him every week.
Every week, yeah, and it's going to get colder. So I just think that this is what we're going to see. We may see another game like this, maybe not six touchdowns, but I could see a 5 touchdown game down the stretch, a couple 4s when we think about what he has around him, and now that he could. Open up the field downfield and have somebody you can rely on potentially. And the Shavers guy, we'll have to see what that.
And he's got Pittsburgh, Cincinnati, New England from week 13 to 15. And then fantasy championships, he's got Cleveland in week 16 and Philly in week 17. It's going to be interesting to see what we saw yesterday from the Philly defense against the Detroit Lions was just absolute constant pressure on Jared Goff. But the thing about Jared Goff is that he's not a runner. So Josh Allen could be squeaky. He put up 38 points against Baltimore, and Baltimore, like they deal in pressuring the quarterback. Tampa Bay as well. So it's going to be and Kansas City, 28 points against Kansas City. We know that they can get to the quarterback too. So Josh Allen's feet are going to help him even if he has a bad matchup.
Love it. All right, let's move on to our next storyline, bigz. And fantasy managers, I owe you one, especially if you trusted me on TreVeyon McMillan this week. I told everyone to sit him, and boy, he had a monster game, going 8 for 130 and 2 touchdowns from Bryce Young and Carolina's overtime thriller over the Falcons. Bryce Young himself threw for 448 yards, 4 touchdowns, spreading the ball and delivering clutch moments, while McMillan proved he was a fantasy weapon you cannot ignore. What looked like a risky lineup decision turned into a game-changing performance. Bigz, after seeing this performance, here's the question I want to ask. With Bryce Young looking, comfortable spreading the ball and McMillan stepping up as a clear red zone threat, should fantasy managers now consider this duo being a reliable weekly stack, or was this one of those perfect storm games where everything clicked in OT and we shouldn't overreact in redraft and dynasty leagues? How do you balance this performance and risk relying on McMillan moving forward?
First of all, let's do this. You repeat after me. Tet Aroa. Tet Aroa. Where's that other? Tetaroa. Okay. McMillan is who we thought he was. And this was a perfect storm game, just like you were talking about. When you dive into the analytics, Bryce Young is not good. I see in the show sheet, it says, is Bryce's upside now high enough to trust him as a consistent fantasy QB1? No. Even a squirrel finds a nut or something. Something. He had a good game. That doesn't make him great. People have bad games. Jared Goff had an awful game yesterday. Doesn't make him a bad quarterback. It's one game. So you can't rely on Bryce Young, but it was a big breakout game for TreVeyon McMillan. Put him in the mouths of a lot of people nationally. So that's good.
Yeah, exactly. It was a great game for him and a much needed one. And yeah, I'm glad that I was able to push him over the edge there and, make him, think about what he was doing. And now
Yeah.
me seeing him and, now we got our path here to
He
roll
was
up.
so burnt by you saying to sit him that he was
Yeah.
like, I'm going to show that Michael.
Yeah, you betcha. All right. Good call there, Biggs. Well, with that being said, I'm going to finish off my studs and duds because it kind of came into that, and then you can go over yours. And not a great week for me. I'm not going to lie. Here was my worst one of the season, leading y'all to the weekend. And I told everybody to sit Walker as well, Kenneth Walker, and he had his best game of the year. Of course, he even got a red zone touch on the 1 yard line, getting a touchdown. So, of course, that happened. And then Jaylen Warren got injured, so that was kind of a wash. He was having a great game leading up to that, and we look what happened to Kenneth Gainwell. So process was great. Jaylen Warren just unfortunately got injured, and we're gonna see what happens with Trey Tucker tonight. So hopefully he could not make this week a complete wash for me on this end. How about you, Biggs? How did you do?
Well, I'm gonna go over Schultz's real quick. He said to sit Giants running backs, and both of them had 17-point games. So, oopsie. He said to sit Romo Dunze. Good call. He had 6 points. He said to start Aaron Jones. Aaron Jones had 11 points. Didn't kill you, but not great. So that one's kind of a push. And then he said to start Romeo Dobbs. And Romeo Dobbs had 9.3 points. So wipe out for Schultz.
Didn't kill you.
All right. And then with mine, I said to sit Debo. Oops, 21.7 points. I said to sit Otten. Bang, bang, 4.8 points for Cade Otten. Schultz quibbled with me a little bit on the show, and Otten put out a stinker. I said to start T. Higgins. He had 15.3 points. That was good. And then and start Judkins, Quinshon Judkins. He had 10.15 points. That's a push similar to Schultz's call of Aaron Jones. So, around 10 points in the flex spot doesn't kill you, but it's not something that you're hoping for. You're probably not going to lose because of it. You're definitely not going to win because of it.
Yeah, outside of a few monster performances, there was not a whole lot of fantasy points. And if you look at the average scoring of your leagues, I'm sure it was much further down, even with only 2 buys. Just not a huge week. A couple standouts like Ted McMillan,
it's Tetaroa
McMillan, and then Bijan Robinson and Christian McCaffrey having monster games as well. But outside of that, not a whole lot in Trey McBride and Jacoby Brissett. There was a lot of fireworks in that game as well. But yeah, let's move on to our waiver wire now, Biggs, and let's get into the quarterback tight end position, and you can start us off with who you have at that.
All right. I believe I went over this last week, but for some reason, it doesn't look like anybody's listening to me. Tyler Shuck is only owned in 1.2% of ESPN redraft leagues. Go add Tyler Shuck, you guys. I'm telling you. Carolina has a pretty good pass defense, and he put up 19 points against them a couple weeks ago. Going forward through the fantasy playoffs, Tyler Shuck will see Atlanta, who just got bombs dropped on him by Bryce Young, who's not good. Then they get Miami, who's not good. Then they get Tampa Bay, who Josh Allen just destroyed. Carolina again. And then to finish off the season in the fantasy playoffs, the New York Jets and the Tennessee Titans. People were laughing at Tyler Shuck. Tyler Shuck is going to be the one with the last laugh.
Last laugh, and he's going to shuck it up. You know what? He looked okay. Making me happy, making Chris Olave relevant, making, Alvin Kamara relevant, Jawan Johnson. I think they're going to concentrate their targets on those 3, and I can't complain about that. And if they're scoring more than they did with Spencer Rattler, I think Tyler Shuck is going to have some upside here. And, he's working for a job next year, right? He's playing for himself and potentially putting himself in the driver's seat of leading that Saints offense, or at least competing against whoever potentially they draft if they decide to go that route in the draft.
And look what happened. He replaces Spencer Rattler as the starter in week 9. And in our Omega League, you and I own him, stick him into the starting lineup. Week 9, we win. Week 10, we win. Week 11, he has a bye. We're getting smoked. We need Tyler Shock.
Yeah, I blame it on. I'm not going to blame it on Chalk's monster team, but we'll.
He's only sitting at 150 right now. He has Rashee Rice, Jalen Waddle. They didn't do anything. Abuka didn't do anything. Single-digit performances. But, I mean, we had 0 from Jonnu and 0.4 from Luke Musgrave, so.
Yeah, wasn't great.
It was not great. Our highest bench scorer had 6. Everybody else had 1 or less.
But, bigz, we'll get into my ad here, and seriously though, what the hell was that? 1 week Bryce Young looks like he's allergic to his own wide receivers, barely scraping together 124 yards against the Saints, and the next week he's carving up the Falcons defense for 448 yards, 3 touchdowns, no interceptions. I don't know. If nothing else, I think this just proves that these divisional games are weird and that sometimes a quarterback deserves the key to Atlanta. And that's what Bryce Young got. The question is whether he has the talent, whether he can string it together consistently. It's been a roller coaster year, but I don't know. He's worth a shot at this stage. I think, being in your, streamer type position now in redraft, I think he can have some weekly upside in the right matchup. But it's something that I don't really want to have a whole lot of shares of, but it's somebody that is going to be on my radar now. I mean, once you throw 448 yards, 3 touchdown game, you gotta be perks my curiosity, so I'm going to continue to keep my ear to the ground on Bryce Young. I'm not sold on him. I mean, Schulte's been the biggest advocate against him, so he's had an influence on us. So we'll have to continue to see here, but boomer or bust, he's hot right now, and that's what I'm looking at. So keep it up, and he'll be somebody that we might even be able to start in the playoffs. So we'll see about that.
So I'm not going to say don't add Bryce Young. What I am going to say is don't use a waiver spot on him. Wait until waivers clear, and then you can just add him freely. And next 2 weeks, he gets San Francisco and the Los Angeles Rams. That Rams matchup is not good. And then he has a bye week in week 14. Weeks 15, 16, he has New Orleans and Tampa Bay. And then week 17, he has Seattle. Seattle's kind of a mixed bag. Stafford, I guess, wasn't great. Like, that was a big defensive, knock back and forth game yesterday. So the question's out on if he's going to be worth anything in the fantasy championship week 17. But New Orleans and Tampa Bay should be good matchups, except for last time he played New Orleans, they held him to 1.5 fantasy points. So be wary of that one. But Tampa Bay and Seattle, say you have Josh Allen and he breaks his leg, give Bryce Young a shot.
There you go.
I don't know.
All right, bigz, I'm going to give your spotlight to your wide receiver because I really like this one. So kind of under the radar guy that's going to get some steam, and I think he could be a lot of value as the fantasy playoffs start. So bigz, let's roll your video.
All right, my spotlight wide receiver is going to be Luther Burden. So far this year, Luther had one breakout game against Dallas. He had 19 points on 3 targets. His snap share is increasing. His target share is increasing. And he's going to have a good, juicy matchup in the fantasy playoffs against San Francisco in week 17. Now, Caleb Williams is on an improvement arc that is going to be benefiting his pass catchers. And I know I've said stay away from the Chicago Bears receiving core over the course of the year because you don't know who's going to be the big target. But I think there's going to be something that happens over the next few weeks, especially with drops from DJ Moore. Luther Burden getting more acclimated to the offense. Again, I said his snap share is increasing, and he's actually taking over snaps from Olamide Zaccheaus, who has had a few good games as a reliable, not playmaker, but option for Caleb Williams. So Caleb Williams starts to get in trouble. His first read is a Rome Odunze or a DJ Moore, and then as he goes through his progressions, he focuses on Olamide Zaccheaus, and Luther Burden is taking over that role. We know that Luther Burden is an extremely dynamic wide receiver. He can do a lot. He can be schemed up in a lot of plays behind the line of scrimmage, handoffs, RPO plays, and he's a good route runner. So the talent will take over at some point, and you just want it to be while he's on your roster.
Love it. Yeah, I agree. And it's going to happen. And he was almost a first round pick for a reason here. And yeah, man, I like that call, bigz. And staying in that same division, and a guy that, he's owned a little bit more in leagues, but he's still available in over 40% in leagues in ESPN, and that's Christian Watson. And he's emerging as the Packers' most dangerous weapon right now downfield since the Tucker Kraft injury. And since he's become back into the lineup, Watson's looked good. In this game, last game against the Giants, hauled in 4 catches for 46 yards, 2 touchdowns, that contested 17-yard score in the end zone. It looked like a great catch, and I'm looking at him being a season difference maker down the stretch here if he could stay healthy for the Packers. They don't really have a whole lot of playmakers right now going on. They're like bigz. We know that Schulte pointed out last week that Romeo Doubs was a guy that he was hoping to get the Packers offense back and rolling. And it looks like it's Christian Watson and it could be the guy that, for years, a lot of us thought that, a lot of analysts thought that he'd be a guy that is going to be a top value, and he was going in round 1 in a lot of rookie drafts. So there's a lot of optimism for him, and that maybe now it's just some time to develop that and get some health back. And until he's healthy and stays healthy, he's going to be a guy that I'm going to want to have in my lineup and on my team. And just based off of the upside of that contested catch, he's got a great ADOT in the last 3 games, over 25 yards. So looking pretty good here, and a guy that should be rostered in every league.
He's the ultimate boomer bust guy. You have some other guys that are out there that are deep threats, like George Pickens plays deep and Alec Pierce plays deep, but they tend to stay on the field. You never know what Christian Watson's health is doing, but it is one guaranteed fact that Jordan Love considers Christian Watson a high priority end zone target. So in the red zone, around the 25-yard line, he starts looking for Christian Watson, and he can get deep. So he's a big guy, and Tucker Kraft was the red zone target. Now it's kind of shifting to Christian Watson, it looks like.
Yeah, it's going to be kind of, changing their offense, tweaking it a little bit to make the, Christian Watson maybe more of the vocal point. And we don't know how long, if any, Josh Jacobs is going to be out of this lineup, which could make them a little bit more pass happy as well. So look for Christian Watson to maybe look for those slants up the middle as well. So this could be a great situation for him, but we shall see. Okay, bigz, let's get into your running back ad.
All right. My ad is going to be Sean Tucker of the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. I'm sorry. Grindberg, who's your RB ad?
My RB ad is
I'm so ashamed.
Okay. Well, at least you're reading, you know what I mean? You're using our show sheet, which is great. It's awesome. I'm going to talk about Sean Tucker being my ad of the week, and probably the most important ad out there right now based off of what we've seen this week. And maybe Bucky Irving may be back this week, may not be. He returned to practice, but seeing what they saw in Sean Tucker, they may be inclined to rest their star maybe one more week. But even so, look what Sean Tucker did. He was a spark plug that made that Buccaneers offense roam on Sunday against the Bills. They didn't get the win, but Tucker contributed in a big way. He dominated, ripping off 106 rushing yards on 19 carries, finding the end zone twice on the ground, and then another touchdown through the air, 28-yard reception, 3 touchdowns on the game. What a great game. And I think when Bucky is back, he will not be buried behind him and Rachaad White. I think he's going to play a prominent role, maybe not a starter role. And I think this is going to downsize Bucky's upside a little bit here when he gets back into the lineup, just based off of what Sean Tucker has been able to do. I think he's going to have standalone value in this high-powered offense. They like explosive players, the Bucs, and Sean Tucker just brings that element to the game. And that could keep Bucky healthy as well. Keep him on the field more. And I love what I see here in Sean Tucker and the explosiveness. We've seen it before last year as well. So he's a definition of an opportunity, and he got it. And when you're that talented, it makes a difference. And look what we got here now. Sean Tucker has been lights out the last couple of games, and especially last week.
Yeah. It's a great pickup. The problem when you have committees is you are constantly looking for clarity, and Sean Tucker showed some clarity yesterday that if he gets on the field, he's going to be an explosive point getter. And sometimes it just takes a little bit for the coaching staff to understand what they have. I know that he's been in the building for a couple years. Mm-hmm. He was a super high value rookie before the draft, and then he had a heart condition and he fell out and went undrafted. So it's taken the Buccaneers a little bit. They've invested heavily in other running backs, so they've kind of gone that way with those other running backs. Bucky Irving, Rachaad White, they were more highly drafted. They're paid more. They're more highly invested. But it looks like Sean Tucker is the better running back in the committee. So hopefully that cream rises to the top, and Tucker carries you the rest of the way.
There you go, Biggs. All right, man. Who's your finale guy? Who's your running back that you want to get into your roster before it's too late?
My guy is he's a speculation. It's Jaleel McLaughlin. I've never been high on McLaughlin. He has probably a total in 3 seasons of 5 or 6 double-digit games. He was more involved in the offense in 2023 and 2024. They went out and signed J.K. Dobbins in the offseason, and they drafted R.J. Harvey. J.K. Dobbins went to the IR, and Jaleel McLaughlin's snap share, he had 10% snaps in one game with one attempt. They targeted him once, and they played a really tough Kansas City defense this week. He only had 8 points, but he did have 6 carries. So they got the ball into his hands. He had a touchdown, and J.K. Dobbins isn't around. So it looks like his share is going to increase. They have a bye week, so they have 2 weeks to get him involved in practice as the second team running back. And then they see a Commanders team who is very, very bad against the run. So give Jaleel McLaughlin a shot. Again, he has a bye week, and this is another one that's kind of like wait for waivers to clear, because it's not like there's going to be a stampede of people going to pick him up. Wait for the waivers to clear, then go grab Jaleel McLaughlin and stash him just in case, especially if you had J.K. Dobbins previously like I did.
Absolutely. And I'm going to throw out a couple more names here for folks to have on their radar, like Emmanuel Wilson. We mentioned Josh Jacobs potentially being banged up here. So he's a guy you may want to have on your radar. Also, Kenneth Gainwell, with Jaylen Warren being a little bit banged up. We don't know what's going to happen through that, but Gainwell had a really nice game here in week 11 as well. Biggs, any other guys that you may have on your slate that is potential guys that pick up maybe at the wide receiver position? I know there was a couple big games here from Leggett and maybe some others.
My brain is pretty empty right now, and I'm not thinking too great.
Joe Burrow is a guy that maybe could be floating around some waivers as well, being injured. So look for your waiver wire, and if Joe Burrow's around, folks, look to get him as well.
Of course,
because he'd be a guy that could be a huge league winner for you down the stretch here.
Also, you saying Kenneth Gainwell, that's basically what filled up my mind. Was I had been waiting on him for 4 or so years, knowing how good he was in Philadelphia, and they just never gave him the RB1 opportunity. And I stashed him probably in 2020 and just sat and waited for them to realize, hey, we need to give Kenneth Gainwell the ball 25 times a game. And they never did. And now he's in Pittsburgh and they still haven't. And it's like, what the eye test is everything. I've watched Kenneth Gainwell be excellent in receiving and rushing the ball. And he just, for some reason, I don't know what it is, he just does not get a shot. It's crazy.
I know. One more name that had a monster game, that's Michael Wilson. And with Marvin Harrison Jr. maybe coming back, things look good, though. Maybe carving himself out a role in that offense. I know that Jacoby Brissett's going to have a hard time sustaining 3 guys with big points, but Trey McBride is a standalone there. But what are your thoughts on Michael Wilson? And will he have any sort of value moving forward?
Yeah, a little bit as an emergency in an emergency situation. He's not somebody that can be relied on week to week, especially if Marvin Harrison Jr. is back in the lineup. But as a third option in the offense, like we've known for a couple of years that he's got talent. Yeah.
All right, man. Let's bring us home for our recap and our waiver show for week 12 here, bigz, as we head into another busy week. A lot going on.
Hey guys out there, thank you for watching. If you are a first timer, I hope you enjoyed the show. Go ahead and subscribe, and everybody else, hit the bell, all that stuff. Stay tuned on Fantasy Sports Advice Network because we have a whole week's slate of shows for you. Thursday night, Points After Thursday. Come join us. It's a live stream right as the Thursday night football game ends. Boom, we start. And we answer starts and sits questions, trade questions, things, getting ready for the weekend. That's Thursday night, right after Thursday Night Football. On Friday, we have 2 shows that drop. The Dynasty Pulse, that's our 5-host panel Dynasty talk show. And then we have our Sits show that drops, Fantasy Forecast Sits. And then we have the Fantasy Forecast Starts on Saturday, 8:30 a.m. West Coast, 11:30 a.m. East Coast. We have Breakfast with Bigz with me, bigz. That's a Starts and Sits show, getting you woke up for the day, and I share a cocktail. Thank goodness there are no more international games. And they're terrible and they're early. It's 6:30 here. They start at 6:30 in the morning. I do enjoy the idea of watching football from 6:30 a.m. to 8:15 p.m. without stopping, but it becomes a long day. And then we wrap it around the weekend. Tuesday, Fantasy Forecast, Waiver Wire show drops again. Also, check out Spilled Coffee right after Breakfast with Bigz on Sunday mornings. And hit the bell so that you get notified when all of these things drop and go live and stuff like that. And other than that, we hope you win.
Hope you win, folks. And we'll see you on Thursday. Peace.
We are here. FantasySportsAdvice.com, offering the best fantasy sports social media platform. Why join endless Discord communities or the trolls of Reddit? Fantasy Sports Advice is a community designed to help you win with 24/7 support. Go to FantasySportsAdvice.com and become a pro member for unlimited